Good morning, India, and welcome to Ganashot and PGurus. Today, we're going to talk of Bangladesh and how it's drifting to form a Pak-China axis, or rather, drifting into the Pak-China axis. And to discuss all this, I have with me Mr. Shree. Vanakkam and good morning. And sir, please, your first views about Bangladesh.
Good morning, India, and viewers. This has been something that's been very close to my heart because any frustration in Bangladesh ruling establishment or army, the frustration gets taken out on the poor, innocent Hindus. And this has been something that has been really bothering me. And now we are seeing that this fellow is allowing himself to be sucked into the vortex of China and Pakistan. And if you remember, viewers, what happened? What led to the sacking of, or whatever you want to call it, ousting of Sheikh Hasina? She had, one of the last big trips she had made was to China. So I guess Bangladesh quality never learns. Anyway, so that's my opening statement. Back to you, sir.
Yeah. So why did I pick Bangladesh for today's talk? Very clearly, there's an axis, there's a triangle which is forming between Bangladesh, Pakistan, and China. And people might say these are early stages. I don't think so. This was always on the cards. It is getting reinforced. The interesting thing is, after, I wouldn't say after, even when Yunus was there in between, before the elections took place, the relations between Pakistan and Bangladesh have been solidifying. And this has continued. That trend line has continued with Tariq Rahman. One. Number two, you have to go back into the history of Bangladesh to understand Bangladesh-China equation. His father, Tariq Rahman's father, right, who was a dictator, let's be very clear, Ziaur Rahman, was the first person who reached out to China, and he wanted China as a counterweight to India because he was anti-India. Let's be very clear. He didn't believe in India. He was completely anti-India. He was anti-Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and that's how that whole Mujib family got wiped out. Well, there were other internal issues with Bangladesh. That's a different story altogether. Okay. Because ultimately Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was not what he was at the turn of the when they got independence. But then what has happened after that? I mean, a lot of water has flown under the bridge, and I've discussed this in many videos. I've traced the history of Bangladesh and explained to you all as to why and what happened in Bangladesh, the twists and turns of their, existence. But today you're looking at it we have to look at it in a slightly different format, and we have to understand. Till last year, as long as Yunus was a caretaker government post that coup, I call it a coup. It's not nothing else than that. Things were in one track. Now, post this, suddenly you find the US hand vanishing from here and they start going to China. So, what is the play? How are things happening? And is the US hand still there? These are things which we have to watch out for. Now, in the run up to this, what we are talking today, after Tariq Rahman took over until now, there was this outreach from India that, look, we'll help you. And we did help them. We've shielded them during their crisis of fuel. When the whole world was in a crisis for fuel, and Pakistan, you've seen how things have happened. We've helped Bangladesh out. We have helped Bangladesh, we've helped Sri Lanka, we've helped Nepal and Bhutan, all four. And we shielded them from what was happening outside. Now, logically, after the kind of shielding they got and after the kind of positives which went from India to Bangladesh, one does expect, that the first trip of this chap should be to India. But he's chosen to go to China. Okay, fine, go to China. We have no problem. I mean, we have issues, but that's a different thing. But the way he has gone, he has made it look his first trip is not to China or to India, but to Malaysia, signaling that he's going to a kind of a neutral player. That's what he's going to a neutral player. From there, he's going to China. And this is the cheap tricks and the cheap ideology under which Bangladesh functions. Bangladesh is a chitchur. I call them a chitchur. People without much, who think too much about themselves, who think that their actions, will pass scrutiny and get through without this thing, without understanding that look, others also have brains. So this fellow is going to China. He's going to go to China tomorrow, and we'll see what the deal with China is. Because I don't know what China will give him. China might give him more, or China might have an understanding with him. Look, improve your relations with Pakistan, so that through we will help you through Pakistan. That's well possible. But I'll take you back to what Mr. Sree Iyer just said. He said the last trip of Sheikh Hasina outside was to China, and at that time she was rebuffed by China. She went, stayed. She didn't get any, bow out there. Xi Jinping refused to meet her. And actually, she had to prepone her trip back, and she came back a day or two earlier, back from China. And China didn't support her. And it was only after that the coup went through. Like, in her upstaging, there were two forces always in Bangladesh. It was the American was the overt hand, the covert hand was China. I have no doubt about it. And I said this on the day that coup took place. Lot of people disagree with me. I am very clear about it. Okay, but then later on, Yunus also went to China. And he went to China and, all whatever he said, seven sisters are landlocked. It is only Bangladesh which gives a outing and all that nonsense. But after that also, China has not come and invested into Bangladesh. Right? Why didn't they invest? They didn't invest because he was not a elected government or a recognized government. Everyone knew that, and China didn't. But Tariq Rahman going there, he's going there as an elected representative constitutionally. So what bow China will give him or not, we will have to see. And it is important. Right? And that's why I showed this. This article came out in South China Morning Post. But what is more interesting and intriguing is the fact that last week this guy, I don't know what his name, whatever his name was, you can see his face. He came to India. He is an advisor, information advisor to the Prime Minister. And this chap is an absolute anti-India ranter. He's got a YouTube channel in which he rants about India and against India. Now this presumptuous fool, he came to India on a normal passport and insisted that he is the representative of the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, and made a ruckus. And when he made a ruckus, he was detained in the airport in Palam. And he was told, no, you don't enter without a visa. He didn't have a visa. If he had at least a diplomatic thing a visa could have been issued, all that. So the Bangladeshi ambassador to India, he landed up at the airport, tried reasoning and all that. He was told, look, this fellow has come on a normal passport without a visa. So we are not going to let him enter till we go through a process. Then he went through a due process, because then as a matter of courtesy, we said finally we gave him a visa. And then he chose not to enter India. By then, this fellow's head was so swollen that he went back to Bangladesh via Sri Lanka. So he's made an issue. And all this has happened 1 week before he goes, this Tariq Rahman goes to China, right? So the point is, you see that very clear indications coming that this government is slowly going to be more China centric and anti India, because his advisors are like this. His advisors are absolutely anti India. And this is something which I thought I'll put across. And on just this, what I have said so far, your views on this, Sree Iyer ji.
Sir, this fellow knew fully well that he would not be given permission to enter. So he wanted to make a big deal out of it. And they're all paid puppets and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 things, your comeuppance is going to come very soon. Why is India giving you rice, sugar, oil, electricity, much of which you have not paid? Ask yourself this question. At some point, India is going to say, okay, people of Bangladesh, sorry, your political leadership is not mature enough, and we have to do something about that. And this is not something that's very difficult to do also. It's being held at restraint because the people should not suffer. At the same time, if you go on rabble-rousing and go and destroy Hindu temples and things of that nature, there is a limit to this patience. That's my two cents, sir. And remember, viewers, this is something that India is exercising the utmost restraint, because it's not very difficult to run over this country. And then what? And then what? You'll have 80 crores and you'll have to have 120 crores or 130 crores of free rations. Remember, see, these are some of the things they want us to act. They want India to react. They want to do something. But India is going to do something in a way that's not going to help the political establishment. How that is, we'll have to wait and see. Sir, back to you.
Yeah. So that's how things are. Even now, as you say, I had to just ban one character who was trolling. And there's another guy who's trolling. That's okay. You see the reaction, and this is the latest thing they've taken against me. That's okay. That's part of the deal. That it indicates that the guys who are getting hit somewhere, they're getting hit, and what we are speaking is affecting them. But let's look beyond this visit, all that. I found this very interesting, article in Dhaka Tribune. And the thing goes like this: understanding Bangladesh growing strategic relevance. So what is this great strategic relevance which Bangladesh has? And when I read through it actually, all my strategic thinking went for a toss. I said, yeah, which world am I living in? Or which world is this fellow living in? But you need to understand their self-esteem to hereafter gauge how Bangladesh looks at itself. This is what they write. He says Bangladesh is finding itself at the center of conversations from Washington and Brussels to Beijing, Tokyo, Moscow, and Gulf capitals. What he's left out in this is that, Bangladesh is going to find itself at the center of discussions today in Geneva. You know what I'm saying? Geneva, when the talks are on between Iran and USA and Pakistan
Right.
and Qatar and all, Bangladesh is going to be the top of the agenda. That's their thinking. Now he's describing the geographic centrality of Bangladesh in global affairs. Positioned at the north edge of Bay of Bengal, Bangladesh sits at the crossroads of South and Southeast Asia. It offers connectivity to India's northeast, provides access to Nepal and Bhutan, and it gives links to maritime trade networks, and occupies a location overlooking some of the world's most important sea lines of communication. I don't know which sea line of communication comes to Bangladesh, right? But it says so. Historically, the region has served as the bridge between South Asia, Southeast Asia, Middle East, East Africa. Today, the role is being rediscovered. अरे भाई तू जाकर जेनेवा में बैठ ना, जेनेवा में बैठो, and with Asim Munir and that Qatari fellow, whoever goes there, and that Iranian guy, you should have gone as mediator to all these fellows instead of Pakistan. If you are this, so he says, for Bangladesh, EU remains a critical economic partner. यार मैंने तो सुना नहीं कि EU is their critical economic partner. US is a major export destination and important strategic interlocutor. What this is interlocution all about? The interlocution is to stage coups in your country. China has become a source of infrastructure financing and investment. India remains indispensable for regional connectivity and economic integration. Japan continues to be one of Bangladesh's most important development partners. What he has missed out is Bangladesh has once again gone to IMF कि भैया मेरे को पैसे दे दो. This is the thinking of strategic importance. Gulf states provide employment opportunities for millions of Bangladeshi workers and remain vital sources of remittance. Few countries enjoy such a diverse portfolio of relationships. Okay, this diversity is not a weakness, it is a strategic asset. The Bay of Bengal is becoming one of the defining strategic theaters of the 21st century. Okay, trade routes, connectivity corridors, energy networks, great power competition are all converging in this region. Bangladesh sits at the heart of these developments. Yeah, how do you react to all this, Sree?
This is self-delusion, delusions of grandeur, and reality is something else. And not only that, you have even lost the special status that you used to have with EU, where you were getting a 15% tax break. That's gone now. And if you don't get electricity power supply from India, you're not going to be able to produce any garment. If you don't get cotton from India, you're not going to be able to produce any garment. I mean, see, this is beyond belief. Isn't there one person who's capable of reasonable thought? Where are you taking this? Because right now, being a Muslim, being a follower of Islam is not the flavor of the month. Whether it is Europe or United States or many countries, they're getting disgusted. This is going to lead you in even more trouble. If anything, you should be walking away from it. Sir, just to 𝗤𝗍𝗲𝗏
Haseen Sapne. Okay, so that's what Pakistan, that's what Bangladesh is all about. But having said that, there is another interesting phenomenon which is happening in Swiss banks. Bangladeshi deposits have surged by 41%. This is the thing. Why are Bangladeshis putting more money in Swiss banks? I mean, it's an interesting thing. They're not doing remittance here. They're not leaving their money in their Gulf states or wherever they're working. They're putting money in Swiss banks. Is there a cartel operating in Bangladesh who's ensuring that all the remittances from abroad are now going into Swiss banks so that the Bangladeshis don't have to send money back home, and they are insured against wherever they are, all the illegal guys? Right? Or what is it? Or Bangladeshis simply don't want to send money home. In which case, the problem for Bangladesh is going to increase. Understand this. At the fundamental level, Bangladeshis are not sending money back home. They're putting it in the Swiss banks. Now, that's a problem. That's an indication of where Bangladesh is going. Okay. And mind you, all this is information from Bangladeshi sources. It's not from my source. They have a health problem. Okay, they've crossed 1 lakh suspected cases, not suspected, confirmed cases of measles. And this started some time back, and this is becoming a national health problem. And they don't have the capacity to get out of it. See, economically they're down. Their garment industry, which is their ready-made garment industry, which is their biggest thing, is down. Like what Mr. Sree Iyer just said. And Their health is down, everything. Okay. Now, yesterday, there was some problem in one temple. As a result, yesterday and today, there are tensions. The Hindus have finally stood up and they're carried out a mass rally out there. Okay. We have to see where this goes. The guys, now the Hindus are a minority, like the Muslims are a minority here, they're a minority there. So Bangladesh expects us to, grant minority rights to our Muslims while not granting the same equivalent minority rights of Hindus in Bangladesh. And this is an issue which we have to put across to them, because this will take serious proportions as we go along. So as we go along with Bangladesh, we have to be conscious of the fact that 8 million Hindus are there. Am I wrong? Am I correct with the numbers? 8 million Hindus?
I think it's more than that. It's 8% of the population. 8%.
Okay, sorry. If it is 8%, you're 8%. 8% of about 200. Right? You're looking at about 16 million. It's double the figure. Right? And we'll have to see which way this goes. Okay. It's a tinderbox of its own kind. And this country is conflicted politically. And the elections might have taken place, but the Awami League people, supporters are still on ground. So we'll have to see how this also pans out. So you see, in this Bangladesh, instead of being, as the chap said, it's at the crossroads of global flows and all, it's at the crossroads of its internal fault lines. And the fault lines within Bangladesh are huge. Right? And here this country is now veering towards China, unmistakably towards China. And it has still got large outstanding loans debt-ridden to China. The only thing good is that Sheikh Hasina didn't let those loans from China become, where they would get completely suffocated like Pakistan. Their loans are under control. But Tariq Rahman going there is a red light of its own. We'll see how it goes. Your views on this, because from here I'm going to switch to China-Pakistan axis.
So the Bangladeshi Hindus are now realized, I guess, after like 2 years of taking it on the chin, that they'll have to form their own resistance front and they'll have to start standing up to some of these attacks. And I think that's what I'm seeing now. It's a good thing. At the same time, this political leadership needs to also understand that either China or US, they use them like a toilet paper and then they throw it. You don't really have a lot of use once they're done with whatever it is that they want to do. Like, for example, they have taken over your St. Martin's Island now, and then they want to create this humanitarian corridor. A lot of nonsense is happening in Chittagong, Cox's Bazar area. And a lot of NGOs coming in, peddling drugs, prostitution, all sorts of stuff is going on there. And to what end? When is this humanitarian corridor going to start? Is it in Bangladesh's hand? No. It's in Myanmar's hand. Arakan army is in the middle. And for what? The other option that US is now rightly pursuing is to India, from the northern side. We talked about this in one of our episodes with General Shankar. And too many problems, and these guys need to really put their heads down and see where they are going to get the next morsel of food. So this Gulf problem doesn't matter where these talks end, General Shankar. The Persian Gulf is not what it used to be before 28th of February. The jobs there are going to vanish because the revenues are going to vanish. They're saying 1 billion as in boy, barrels of crude have been lost because they have been capping so many oil wells. There's no guarantee that those wells, if they are reopened or you have to dig another well in, that you're going to get the same output. And for that, you need money, and they don't have money. It's a very difficult situation. All that nonsense about self-praise and all that, if there are no jobs there, everybody's going to be sent back. And it's not just Bangladesh, all of them. So think how you're going to sustain yourself. So back to you.
Yeah, thank you. Now I'm going to switch to this Pakistan, right? Very interesting. Look at this fully, right? This lady, no, this is Asim Munir presenting something to this lady cadet. And she's a Bangladeshi cadet who's awarded the Commandant's Overseas Medal in Pakistan. She graduated from the Pakistan Military Academy last year. This was part of what Yunus did. And
I'm Major Iftikhar from Pakistan Military Academy. I'm the commandant there, and I'm here just to share the joy and happiness of these young people here. It's a player coming here to Bangladesh for the very first time, and such a happy occasion as the passing out in the academy and see the young leadership.
So this is very interesting. From last year, cadets from Bangladesh are going to Pakistan for training, including lady cadets, right? And it takes Asim Munir to come and give them something. And then the commandant of the Pakistan Military Academy comes to Bangladesh to see the passing out. Look, you might say they're only cadets and all that. No. So this generation of Pakistan military leaders, or rather Bangladeshi military leaders, are now being trained by Pakistan. Understand this. This connection is a seminal connect at the bottom. They have gone over this regime, the Bangladesh National Party regime, and the Yusuf regime have now put in place normalization of their equation between Pakistan and Bangladesh. So for them, they have forgotten that the Pakistanis were the guys who carried out a genocide on them. See, this is the psych which we have to understand about the Bangladeshis. This set of radical characters in Bangladesh, it might not be all, but they have a sizable number of radical characters in Bangladesh, have willfully forgotten the rape and genocide which Pakistan army and Pakistan carried out on Bangladesh. And that is why they got their independence. That's gone. Right? With the same guys now, they're forging military relations against India. Their rant today is against India. Their rant is against India, which saved them and gave them their freedom. You see this psychological shift. That is the problem with this equation. And that is what we should be clear. That Bangladesh is not the nation which we liberated. Bangladesh is reverting to being East Pakistan and the thinking of East Pakistan. And unless we recognize this problem, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have issues. How are we going to deal with Bangladesh? Your views on this?
Bangladesh needs to understand that it's impossible for them to survive as a nation without the help of India. India understands that. Do you understand this? And to do all these things, I'll just play a couple of things for you, Bangladeshi. What did Maldives do? India out campaign, right? And based on that, one nut comes into power. What happened after that? Did China come to their help? They had to come begging back to India. Even today, India is providing them a lot of support. They were running out of water. Same thing in Bangladesh also. You guys don't understand that you are being given a lot of sustenance. And if you just keep on doing these kinds of nonsense stuff, at some point their patience is going to wear out. India is going to say, okay, you are on your own. Do what you want. Do you think China is going to come and bring you rice? They don't have rice for themselves. They import it. I mean, also remember what Pakistan did to you in the World T20 Championship. They told you, yeah, we'll support you. Just walk out of the tournament because one of your players did not get something in the IPL. You walked out. Pakistan played. You are CHU force. These guys are playing you.
CHU force. See, this is Pakistan, this is Bangladesh. This is the Bangladesh we have to deal with, right? And uh, right, I'll come back. There's one chap who, from Bangladesh who's come with his Urdu. Traditionally, all Bangladeshis they're proud of Bengal and they're proud of Bengali. Today, there's one guy who's commenting with the Urdu, which is new. This is the new fanaticism in Pakistan, in Bengal or Bangladesh. Okay. Now, this is report that Pak plans to deploy submarine in the Bay of Bengal, the first time since 1971. Pakistan cannot deploy submarines in the Bay of Bengal without Bangladesh help. And this report won't come out so easily, but for the fact that this is there at the base somewhere. Now you look at the military to military equation. Bangladesh is actively evaluating JF-17s for procurement as part of their Forces 2030 modernization goal. And this is on record. Nothing I'm saying this thing. Bangladesh has already taken flight simulators of JF-17 combat simulator bought from them, and that has been delivered to Bangladesh, right? So pilot and technical training of Bangladesh pilots is now being carried out in its fighter pilots is being carried out in Pakistan. This is not hearsay. This is fact. Okay. They are looking at actively at a strategic defense pact, mutual defense pact, something similar to what has happened between KSA, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. I don't know how this is going to happen between Bangladesh and Pakistan. If that happens of strategic mutual defense pact, then we have to respond. India has to respond to Bangladesh as it responds to Pakistan. There's no more friendship then. Let's be very clear about certain things. And there are, of course, high-level military to military exchanges going on. We remember when Yunus was there, that Shamshed Sahir Mirza was the Chief of General Staff. He had come to Bangladesh. Thereafter, the Bangladesh DGFI, that is their Director General Field Intelligence, equivalent of Pakistan's ISI, went to Pakistan. Similarly, ISI guy came here. Mohsin Naqvi came here. Who's Mohsin Naqvi? The same guy who ran off with that Asia Cup.
Cup chore, trophy chore.
That fellow came here. They are interested in upgrading Bangladesh tank fleet. There's talks on for the past 1.5 years. So Bangladesh is getting militarily closer to Pakistan. If that be so, if they are getting closer to Pakistan and they're getting closer to China, and we know the relationship between Pakistan and China, isn't it very logical for me to assume that there's a very clear military triangle being formed between Bangladesh, China and Pakistan? In which case, how do I treat Bangladesh? As a neighbor or as an enemy? This is the question we have to ask ourselves. Right? And then, of course, the China factor, which I thought I'll put across to you. We know that. And China is quite invested in Bangladesh. Right? And China is also invested in Pakistan to the extent that they are now contemplating giving them J-35s. So for India to respond to this entire story, that Bangladesh is not our neighbor. It is our neighbor, you can't wish it away. But more than neighbor, it's some kind of an enemy state. Isn't it fair for us to presume that and treat them accordingly? Your view, sir.
Thank you so much. So what does India get back from Bangladesh in exchange for all this largesse? Illegal immigrants, among other things, maybe some jute, maybe I don't know. Even that I am not 100% sure. But basically, you are there, you are a neighbor, but you have to behave. You can't, clean your house and put all the trash across the fence into India. I mean, there's a lot of nonsense without understanding. You're putting it out on the chat. Viewers, don't pay attention to some of this stuff. These guys are all frothing at the mouth, and your days are your amount of money that you're going to start getting from remittances and other things are actually numbered. Seriously in problem. And China has already put capital controls. And you want to get 𝗤𝗫𝗍𝗫, so whether it is Pakistan or Bangladesh, you got to remember, where are you going to use it? Against India, right? You know that F-35 got completely unmasked by India. That thing sat in Kochi airport for what, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that. They couldn't get it off the ground. I'm not happy that American technology got exposed this way, but India did find out that stealth part doesn't seem to be working. Please, emotion, you shouldn't use emotion. You're trying to understand where you stand in the geopolitical ladders of the world. I mean, and where are you going to get the money to pay for the JF-35s? More loan from China? And what is China going to do? They'll say, okay, give us this land, and they are going to grab some land from you without you saying anything. I think India is the only one that can come to your. Then you'll go and fall at the feet of India and say, help us, help us, help us. Somewhere people have taken leave of their senses. And I don't know how far this farce is going to continue. I just feel like this is going to really start making a huge problem for Bangladesh. Sir, back to you.
Yeah, thank you. So this is where we'll stop on Bangladesh, because we've discussed. Why I brought Bangladesh into the equation is, while we are all focused on Iran, Israel, USA, the deal, Geneva and all that, what is happening here is important. We need to understand what's happening in our neighborhood. And this is a very important thing, which we should not go out of our eyesight. This is the way Bangladesh is going to behave. The future trajectory of Bangladesh is very clear. The future triangle of Bangladesh, China, Pakistan is also very clear. This is not the first time I'm talking of it. This is probably many times before this also I've spoken. And we'll see where it goes. Now I'll switch to talking of the US-Iran deal. It's now in a start and stop stage, right? Yesterday we got the news that there's no one in Switzerland. Today everyone is arriving at Switzerland. In between, we got the news that Israel and Lebanon, there's a flare-up in Israel, Hezbollah, there's a flare-up. Immediately, Iran said we've closed the strait. But the deal talk is on. So like I said earlier also, in one of my podcasts, that this entire story of this deal is going to be start and stop. It'll start, tomorrow it'll stop. It'll stop tomorrow, it'll restart again. And this deal will keep getting violated. And nothing is fixed in this deal so far. I just thought I'll put this across. We'll discuss this. Certain facts here. Look, the first fact is Pezeshkian signed the deal and he put it out. Right. And if you see this, there's no space for anything else to be here. This is Donald Trump's signature, his signature, and that's it. And then Shahbaz Sharif signed a deal and he put it out. You see the last, this is, it's on the opposite side. There's no space here for Shahbaz Sharif to sign. But Shahbaz Sharif has signed it here as a mediator and as if he's a countersigning authority for both these fellows. And he's put it out. So who's lying here? So, so what is this deal which Shahbaz Sharif is floating? Already there are stories that the verbiage on the Iran part of the thing and what is on the US part is two different things. And here comes this, there's one fake deal. This is one fake deal. There's no doubt about it. Because if you see Donald Trump signing on this deal, it is something like this, where it is. Right? When he went and signed it at Versailles, that video is also out. So where does it leave Pakistan? What is Pakistan's role in this? But Pakistan is, there where it is. That's one. Second, now after all this is signed, everything is done. Marco Rubio comes out and says, we are dealing with radical Shia clerics who make geopolitical decisions based on pure theology. No one has ever been able to do a successful deal with Iran. Statement of fact. So how successful will this deal be? Because the theology and everything is still there. The theological radical regime has not gone anywhere. And yet, everyone is getting together at Geneva. Okay. Then, what does Karim Sadjadpour say? Who's Karim Sadjadpour? Karim Sadjadpour is a guy who's an Iranian. He's a US citizen of Iranian descent, and he's in America. He's intelligent. He knows Iran well, and he writes about Iran in all. And his latest article in Atlantic Council is quite instructive. He says the lesson that Iran has learned in the past 4 months is that you gain concessions from the US by punching back and by closing the Strait of Hormuz, by attacking your neighbors. And I don't think this MOU has resolved the nuclear issue. So if this is, and I agree with him, Iran, like I said, didn't defend itself in this entire war. And I've said this many times. They've attacked. They've attacked the US guys. They've attacked the neighbors. They have closed the Strait of Hormuz without any consideration how the world will suffer, because their intent was very clear. We will make the world suffer. So, and the same tactics are going to be repeated in Geneva. So, what the chance of this whole story succeeding is a question mark. So, okay. Then there is now very clear news coming out of Iran that there is opposition to this deal from hardliners. So this is what came out in Twitter, and there's this guy who went on TV, a hardliner, and he said this deal is against whatever. He's not agreed to this deal because he says, no, we have to continue with the revolution, and we have for 70 years gone against US. How can you have a deal with them and things like that? It's ideological. Okay. And Al Jazeera yesterday carried a report which says, where do Iran's political factions stand on the US peace deal? So there's no way this deal is going to go through in a hurry, and this deal might be inconclusive, and this deal will have start and stop, which I said, and everything. Now let me recount before I go to Pakistan part of the story. On one side, everyone Marco Rubio, he is after all the US side. He says these chaps are theological guys, and there's no way they will honor a deal. It's not easy to get a deal through. This guy on the hardliners in Iran are saying, no, there's no way you can do a deal with these people. The guys in between we don't know what their thing is. And the popular belief is that Iran will not do a deal. They will not do a compromise on nuclear thing. There's no compromise. If you have to do a deal with Iran, it will be as per Iranian ways and nothing else. And here you have Mr. Trump believing that giving Iran money will solve the problem. I don't think it will solve the problem. So actually, if you put all these things into the same cauldron, you see we are in a bugger's muddle. We don't know what's going to happen, right? This is where it is. On ground, Israel is continuing its actions against Hezbollah. people say that the Strait of Hormuz is closed, but there is credible news that the Strait of Hormuz is not closed. Then it's not closed. Action is going on. So, but equally, there are reports which say the Strait of Hormuz is closed. So what we're going to go through is a period of uncertainty, an extended period of uncertainty, where some oil will come out, some LNG will come out, and something will happen. And what will this lead to is something we will discuss, because that affects us, all of us. It's going to be a global effect. We will discuss this as we go along. But this is where we are. I thought I'll give this short little, update on what's the latest. Your views, Sree Iyer ji.
Yeah, sir, you're spot on. How can Hormuz Strait be open and closed at the same time? So this is the information that I have. See, there are two channels now, one hugging the coast of Iran and the other one is hugging the coast of UAE and Oman. And this is the one that the United States is able to give some sort of passage, safe passage, and this is free. But the problem now is these are commercial trawlers and tankers, and most likely these are things coming from countries like India where food is being brought in and something else is being taken out, because things have not restarted. To the best of my knowledge, Qatar hasn't started pumping out natural gas yet. They may be at work. It's going to take some months. Same problem with Kuwait, same problem with Bahrain. UAE and KSA are able to pump some. So some traffic is going through. People are not starving on the streets now. So that means they are getting essential foodstuff. And that cannot be flown out. It's too expensive to fly out tomatoes and bhaji and stuff like that, eggs on planes. It has to be going on tankers. So, and even Iran will start having the need for these things. Iran gets a lot of rice from India, poultry, chicken, a lot of stuff. This is a war that you have said, okay, look, I can do all this to you. The other side said, okay, fine, you can do all this to us, but then you cannot have more weapons because you can do all this to us. So the logic seems pretty compelling from both sides. So we have to see where this is going to end, sir. And I think Israel is just, it's sharpening its knives because it's not party to all this stuff, and it has existential problems. So that's where the challenge is going to start again. But certainly Middle East, Persian Gulf countries, they are going to be caught in the middle. And I'm also hearing that Qatar has done a side deal with Iran, that they won't hit Qatar assets, isn't it?
Yeah, they have. And amidst all this is Pakistan, who felt yesterday slighted and cheated that they were not called into the deal. But today they have, of course, the first people to land there were the Pakistanis, right? And Pakistan is playing its own game, because this is important to understand what is the game Pakistan is playing. And the game which Pakistan is playing is intriguing, because it's not the game of Pakistan. It is the game of Asim Munir. Asim Munir's game is something which we have to understand where this is going, because that concerns India. It's a deeper game than what you can perceive. And if you think Pakistan is going to recover just because they're doing this in between, for all this, Pakistan is not a fool to realize that this will not happen, nor should we get worried about what is happening. Pakistan's, thing in fame and all that. But the more interesting thing which we have to see is, what is Pakistan up to? What is this fellow up to really? And that is something we will analyze as we go along. Because I'm rereading through about Asim Munir, and maybe I'll do it tomorrow or day after. Do join in, okay? With this, I finished. Anything else you have to say, or we'll take a few questions?
So Pakistan is still doing this make-believe for its people that they are really, really active in this whole thing. That one page said it all. There was no mediator required. Qatar never tried to trust themselves to try and gain brownie points out of this, even though they did a lot of the hard lifting. So at this point of time, how does one make sure that there is some lasting peace and people can pick up their pieces again? Thank you so much, sir. I may just take a break now and I'll let you answer the question, sir. I have another program coming up in 5 minutes, so I just need to recharge and get ready for that. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, viewers.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to everyone. I mean, thanks a lot to Sree Iyer ji. Have a great program going ahead. I'll continue with the questions. So,
thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. The first thing, of course, is thanks a lot for becoming a YouTube member, 𝗥𝗘𝙣. All right, I have observed on social media that the educated Bangladeshis living abroad hate Bangladesh to their guts. That's an interesting observation, because the fact that, you know, a set of people hate their own country it's something for Bangladesh to get worried about. And of course, this guy, like I said, he's a Bangladeshi or Pakistani, I don't know, but he's pretending to be a Bangladeshi. And you know, one of the things about Bangladeshis are that they're proud of being Bengalis. And here is this chap who's coming and writing in whichever language it is, Urdu or so. He says Bangladesh does not need to be fully dependent on India, but India is dependent on Bangladesh a lot, mainly for economy, market, development of West Bengal and Seven Sisters. You can't have a bigger stupid than this. Okay, then just see the thinking of these fellows. Why giving misinformation, Lieutenant General? Zahid was a Prime Minister of Bangladesh advisor with SAARC visa. He didn't have any visa, and SAARC visa is not recognized. SAARC has no status in India. And see this thinking in Bangladesh, right? And then he says, what are you saying about USA-Japan relationship? USA nukes Japan in 1945. Seems they have forgotten that as well. Yes, they have forgotten that as well. I have no doubt about it. But it was Bangladesh. Pakistan still screws you. Please understand, Pakistan still screws you. Pakistan screwed you during in the run-up to 1971 and did genocide on you. And it didn't let go after that. What happened? It let you down as recently as the Asia Cup. What happened in the Asia Cup? Or the World Cup? Yeah, that World Cup. You fools took a stand, like what Mr. Sree Iyer said, because Pakistan instigated you. And you lost money, you lost everything, and Pakistan didn't. So you have not learned your lesson. Don't quote Pakistan, Japan, and USA. Idiots like you will remain idiots. Overinflated ego of yours. Okay, I have no doubt about it. So this is what you are. This is the reality of what Bangladesh is. Okay. High time India graduates from showing respect to instill fear amongst these rogue neighbors. Enough of acting like nice guy. Might is right. I think so. And I've been of the view, you have to show them the no more carrot. First the stick. The carrot is later day. Let us see how it goes. Right? Everything in Bangladesh, everything bad in Bangladesh is because of India. See, again, this fellow is also from there. This is hammered to Bangladeshi mind since decades now. They have no idea about their history or conveniently they ignore it. It's a fact. It is a fact. They are now conditioned to the fact that whatever their problems are because of India. Their problems are because of themselves. Their problems are because of Pakistan. Their problems are because of China. They can go ahead with what they want to do. But what you said is the right thing. Yeah. How many challenges? I had many colleagues in UNICEF but from Bangladesh, but never came across as this fanatical. Well, that's how it is. You see their fanaticism. It's something which has come out very strongly in the past 2 years. Okay. Get food for eating from Russia or Afghanistan or Pakistan or China for eating. Yeah. You do what you want. We have no problem. This is the sentiment which is coming from India. Be very clear, all Bangladeshis who are watching this. No one is interested in helping you. I remember when I was 8 years old, my teacher used to say Bengali will say he is Bengali first, Hindu or Muslim second, and Indian last. Your view? Well, it has changed. You've seen this very clearly, Dilip, which has changed in Bangladesh. No Bangladeshi calls himself a Bengali first. No, he's a Muslim first. He's a Muslim first, and then he is a Bangladeshi. That's their thinking today. I have requested Major Madan Kumar to support Ganashot by sharing your content as Indian citizens. We have to start uncomfortable discussions. Nation comes first. Jai Hind, thanks a lot. Let's see where this whole story goes. I really don't know Major Madan Kumar, so let me see how to get in touch with him. Okay. One fact Trump said Iran has never won a war but has never lost a negotiation. Very interesting thing he said. But isn't it also interesting that he started negotiating with Iran? Should he negotiate with Iran? See, the problem why USA is stuck with this negotiation is they should have walked away from the war long back. They could have hit them on the head and gone and waited for Iran to come back. And again hit them back. The whole strategy was Ori. This continuous thing which they did, they got sucked into this. Okay, that's a different thing. So let's see. I don't see this negotiation going anywhere. In this case, my view is Iran will lose in the negotiation. They might win the negotiation from a hardline point of view, but Iran will lose if they don't negotiate for their peace. The American quagmire in Iran is in a nutshell is like it is fatal to enter a war without having the will to win it. Yes, I agree with you. They shouldn't have got into this without clarity as to what their end game is. Well, but that's how it is. Yeah, enough countries, even though many countries suffered from China's way of lending and grabbing, there are still others in South Asia gravitating towards them. Is it something wrong in our policy of dealing with them as well? What can be wrong? You gave them everything what they wanted, and yet they are gravitating towards China. It's their basic DNA. That's why I said I went back to. It's only this country. It's not. Sri Lanka has learnt its lesson. They now don't look towards China. They know they are in a problem with China. As far as debt is concerned, that's it. But beyond that, they're not going towards China. The people of Sri Lanka are very clear that China is not their answer. India is their answer. The people of Maldives have recognized that. The people of Afghanistan are in the process of recognizing that. Interestingly, Nepal is very clear. Okay, the Gen Z revolution was all of being not close to China. Bhutan is very clear. Myanmar is very clear. It is only Bangladesh and Pakistan. So that's why the triangle of Bangladesh, Pakistan, and China is going to trouble us. And we have to be very clear about how to handle them. And thanks a lot, Shyam Tarun, for your super sticker. I think we've done most of the things. I've taken most of the questions. Let me see if there are any more left. Yeah. Hitting Iran was foolish. US should have taken out a route of negotiation. What's the use of gaming and technology if you're going to lose in the end? This is the affliction. Why I took this question, please understand. This is the affliction of every big power. And this is how China also has miscalculated. And today China is in a position where it's got no way out. US so hey, this is eternal to US. China. Please see yesterday's podcast of mine. Why is that podcast important? It is not a great revelation. But it came out yesterday in the talk, okay, in that discussion, as from people who this thing, that if the bond markets are low, the bond markets reflect the GDP. The bond rates will reflect your GDP. And this is something which I didn't know. If today the bond markets or the bond rates in China are between 1 to 2.5%, the Chinese GDP is growing only at 1 to 2%. That is why those bond rates are that. Your bond rates are around 6 to 8%. So you are also growing between 6 to 8%. This correlation is something which I learned yesterday. In the course of my discourse with all of you, came out from someone else. And a few others who are good at this. This is the most interesting part. So if China is going to be there, and yet there are going to be problems and they're going to go into military, adventures, and where will that adventure go and where will it lead is something which we have to watch. US, there's no solution to US foolishness, right? That's how it is. Yeah, let me see if there's anything. Interesting more coming up. Chinese professor predicted that Iran-US war. But you being a senior military veteran, why do you always say? Which Chinese professor predicted US-Iran war? I don't know. Jayavardhan, you have said so. I have not seen. Why don't you do predictive analysis? Yeah, I'm doing. Who said that Iran-US war will not happen? So I think you are selective about your comments. Leave it at that. Okay. Yeah. If Iran sees US losing to them and their threat perception of US decreases, would they become more amenable to peace with Israel? No. Sorry. Iran doesn't mind losing, hitting, do what it is. Because theologically, they are radically thinking different. You have to understand the radical orientation of Iran. And the strength of this regime comes from the theology and radical theology which they follow. So you're going to have this problem for a long time to come. Let's be very clear. And that is why I've said this whole story, why today again I spoke of this as an update. But we'll see as they go along. Okay. I think I've generally covered everyone's questions. What I will do is today evening, we will have the panel discussion on CASA dialogues. At 7:30, join in. We're going to have some very interesting personalities. The Ambassador Trigunath, General Murthy, Brigadier Arun Sehgal, and Admiral Anil Chopra. All of them are going to come and talk of whether this peace will hold, whether the deal will hold. All of you know my view. So I'll just sit and get their things so that we get some extra gyan. And then, of course, tomorrow I'm going to see how to analyze Asim Munir and what's his personal ambitions and what are his game plans. Professor Jiang, he's a middle school teacher. Yeah, he's a fraud. Yeah, I don't know how you guys see. There's another problem in the YouTube viewers and all. You chaps see some fellow, you don't verify who he is, and then you listen and then come back and quote it to others. Okay, so that's how I leave it at that. But all the best for those of you who want to continue with that. So before I close off, all of you, I request, please subscribe to Ganashot, like this video, and also join in as members. With this, have a great day and Jai Hind to all of you.